Kevin is actually having some mechanical issues. He's got it had a bad radiator hose, bottom radiator hose, and a couple other things that were messing with him in his cooling system.
Oh, the day I break these chains, I'm bound for the life of the simple things.
Forget what else there was now. But he had a couple of different issues. And so he's off right now. He, this morning, went to a truck place, and they were able to get him right in and have him work on it. Well, they sent in the wrong radiator hose after they'd had everything else. So there was a water, it was a water pump issue as well. And so they tackled it. They jumped on into doing the work on it from what he was messaging back and forth to me. But he's not going to be able to drive anywhere, so he's going to be staying at the mechanic shop. I have a rare opportunity here to show you where I first grew up here. And I mean, there were some times where I lived in different places, you know, other than here. The majority of my years as a kid were all here, and then in this area from like 12 on, it was just out on the farm. So we're gonna go up here where the first place I ever lived here in Moses Lake, Washington, all the way back kindergarten age. Long ago, right here, this spot actually was a ceramic shop that I used to go to, and you know, painted a couple of my first ceramics and my first artistic endeavor of ever. It definitely looks a lot different today. This was a place called Marchand Construction. It was a big construction outfit. A lot of dirt work they did. They had all kinds of like backhoes and everything else over here. It's obviously gone now. Robin Street is the first place I ever lived in this town. Off to the right hand side here is the first house that I ever lived in Moses Lake, Washington. That is, obviously it wasn't the first house I ever lived in, but it was the first house I ever lived in this town. And back then it was yellow, and it was a duplex that actually had been converted into a single home. This brown house here, there was a little redheaded girl that liked me. She used to chase me around and stuff. It was hilarious when I think back on it now. This house happened to be where I moved into, this white one, right after I had a real tough situation. So I was so young when I moved in there, and I had to testify in court against my own father. So that was pretty heavy for me as a kid, you know. I really struggled in kindergarten, pretty much solely because of that. Probably gonna title this video "It's All Jimmy Crackcorn's Fault," because there's a guy's screen name that used to go by that. I think he deleted that account, but he used to go by that is a friend of mine now, but had just been before had just been a viewer. And you know, there's some things I'm going to start sharing with you guys that I think there's a lot of people that can help. This house here has kind of some heavy memories. So when I was a kid living here, there was a guy that was not a very good guy, and this lady named Rhonda, and so he would beat up on her. And you know, my biological father did that to my biological mother as well, and made me, I remember I couldn't have been more than first grade, and it made me so angry, and I was going to come here and do something about it because I thought Rhonda was a nice lady. And I got my little yellow wiffle bat some 6-year-old punk kid with a wiffle bat. I was gonna come down here and try to take care of this guy, and they had a hard time stopping me from coming up the street, and they called the police and stuff and got it stopped. But I was gonna go ahead and try to take into them with my little wiffle ball bat. Doubt that would have done much. Right here in front of this house, on the side of the road, I had a lemonade stand. Absolutely so proud of that back in the day. I mean, I squeezed all the lemon by hand, used the sugar and everything on it. I was so proud of it. My lemonade was so expensive. You guys would probably even think it was a little on the high price side today even. I was charging 50 cents for my small cup, and my bigger cup I was charging $1 and stuff. And we're talking, this is, shoot, I would have to say that had to have been at least 33 years ago. I'm pretty sure it was at second grade or earlier. And when I had that lemonade stand there, I had these great big signs with this goofy lettering. There was a couple of guys that would come in here and give me a hard time about it being expensive, and I'd just be selling away, you know. Absolutely hilarious. When I think of what I would tell them, I'd be like, well, you can go have their lemonade. Mine's the best. It comes from real lemons. I'm gonna take you up here and show you the school. The first school I went to here was Longview Elementary. We're pulling up to the elementary school, that first elementary school. I had a really, like I said, I had a really tough time when I was here for kindergarten. And then I also had well, I don't know, I was starting to really thrive more. I had a teacher named Mr. Davis, and he used to play football on the playground with us on recess, and I don't know, that I was pretty good at sports, and that's when I started learning that I was good at sports, and it really helped me with my self-esteem, and I guess you would call it, helped me come out of my shell a little bit, you know. And back here on the very back, they had these cement tunnels, you know. I wonder if I can find a picture of what those old cement tunnels look like. But they had cement tunnels that they had back here, and we used to call those love tunnels, because, you know, that's where we'd be naughty and kiss the girls at. And there was a girl, I think she lived here or there. It's one of these 2 houses, or maybe 3. I'm pretty sure it was here. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was there. There's a girl that lived there, and that was the first girl I ever kissed. But that was crazy. It couldn't have been, might have been 3rd grade. I was being naughty in the love tunnel. So years later, I heard that girl, I mean, we're talking wild, that some people had told me that she had actually ended up doing some porn. I don't know if that's really true or not. Just rumors that I'd heard. I would not be even a little bit surprised with how wild she started being when we got older, in high school age. We're heading back up the highway here to what used to be an Air Force base. So I used to live up here in the housing that used to be Air Force base housing. It was like housing authority housing when I lived up there. So like it was probably subsidized. Now up here is where yeah, it's one of these houses. I want to say it's this one, 1131. I want to say it's that house right there that was the next place I lived when I was in 4th grade. But it could be one of these along It's 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was 31. That's where I used to live when I was in 4th grade, and then I went to a school that's back over here called North Elementary. We used to walk back through there and on over. I don't even quite remember how to get there now. When I lived in that house, I was just with my mom only and my 3 other siblings. I had a sister. I'll talk about that another time. And then 2 little brothers. I was the oldest child. I loved baseball, but I was kind of a weird kid because like I didn't want to have to carry everything that I needed for baseball, and so I would like wear my cup and jock when I had to go to practice and stuff and to games, and I used to walk the whole distance. And I'm gonna go ahead and drive back down there. I may still have time to do that to get over to the field I was at, so I'm gonna do that, and maybe we'll try a time lapse so you can get an idea of it. I'll speed it up, say 30 times. Alright guys, so here we are. I just wanted to give you kind of a frame of reference on the distance. That's definitely a long ways for a kid to walk, and that's how much I loved playing baseball. At that time, I had ended up making what they called the majors, and I was on a team called the Taco Time Cougars. And this was the field that we played on. We practiced multiple places, right? But this is where most of the games got played, and I was good enough to make the majors. Majors was mainly like 11 and 12-year-olds, but some like it was a nice thing for the coach to say hot shot 10-year-olds, and I was 10 years old when I made that team. So it made me feel good, but you know, I probably could have used another year with the younger kids instead of moving up, or maybe it actually ended up making me better, because at 12 I was really good. So who knows, right? Like I just struck out so much, and it was so hard for me to deal with with that, you know. It used to upset me a lot. And this field used to not have grass in the infield though, so I guess maybe they sodded it, because this used to be all dirt in the infield and then the outfield was grass. So they definitely made some changes there. It's probably safer for the kids, you know. But yeah, this was all dirt here. And I remember the very first hit I'd ever had. And the guy pitching here, I mean, he really threw hard. His name was Israel, and for a kid that age, I bet he was throwing in the upper 60s, which is really fast for a kid that age. And I was pretty intimidated about it. Butch Bradshaw, who ended up actually doing some minor league catching, played on that same team, caught for Israel. And so right here, you know, I took it and I cut through it, and it was just a trickler right down the third base line. I hit that and I was so excited, you know, and so I hit it and I was just running as hard as I could. Right through the base, and I looked up at the and he went safe, and I just started jumping up and down, you know. That was the first time I got a hit when I was in the majors, so that was pretty cool, and it was off of one of the best pitchers that was in our league. It wasn't much of a hit, but you know, hey, my first one. Here it is. To take part of this, I walked that whole distance. Now, a lot of times, you know, parents might felt like giving me a ride home, but not always. A lot of times I'd come and practice and then I'd walk home too. Well guys, I think it's time to go head for somewhere for the night. Get out there, connect with people, live your big story, and make sure you do something every single day to reduce world suck. Peace, guys.